Good morning, students. We are discussing History Chapter 2, the rise and growth of company power. And in this chapter, we have already discussed about different wars which happened between the British and the different kings of India in order to take control of Indian region politically and economically both. The British had gone with a series of war in the southern part of India, in the northern part of India. So we have already discussed about the annexation of Punjab, and I was discussing the subsidiary alliance system. So in this is on page number 29. So all of you see the page number 29. The subsidiary alliance system. In this system, what was the system? It was introduced by Lord Wellesley, who became the Governor General of India in 1798. What was his aim? His aim was the expansion of British in India, British occupation in India. They want more and more. They want to acquire more and more territories in India, and for this they have actually invented different ways, and they have come with different types of system so that they can have more control over the territories which they want. Okay. So what is this subsidiary alliance system? This subsidiary alliance system is that in this system the states, the region, the kingdoms which will have an alliance with the British, and what happened now, the British will have control in their external matters also, because without their permission they cannot go with treaty to any of the they cannot help each other. They cannot go in a treaty without having discussion with the British. This was the subsidiary alliance system. Okay. This system was provided very beneficial for the British, because now the Indian princes were now deprived of any opportunity to join hands with against the company. So they now cannot to join hands with other regions without the permission of the company. So now they are not they cannot actually go against the British. Understood? So earlier what we saw, the Nizam, the Marathas join hands in against with the British. Now this couldn't be happening. Those who are accepting this subsidiary alliance system. Now what is they are providing, what type of condition is that the British said that if you have alliance with us, then we will protect you from any kind of attack on your territory. And in this way, what did they do? They have a standing army in the states, in the regions, and on the expense of the kings. They have their army. So indirectly they are taking control of the Indian kingdoms. Okay. So who had accepted this subsidiary alliance system? The Nizam of Hyderabad, the ruler of Mysore, the Nawab of Awadh, the Peshwa and the Scindia. They are the chief rulers who accepted the subsidiary alliance system. So this was about subsidiary alliance system. Now there was one more system as to acquire the different small kingdoms and to make the British Empire more stronger. The doctrine of lapse. It was Governor General Lord Dalhousie who applied the doctrine of lapse for the annexation of Indian states. So Lord Dalhousie introduced this doctrine of lapse. What was in this doctrine? According to this doctrine, if the ruler of any dependent state died without a legitimate heir to the throne, then his state would directly be annexed or lapsed to the British Empire. An adopted son was entitled to use the personal property of the deceased ruler but not his royal status. The British annexed the states of Satara, Jaipur, Sambalpur, Baghat, Udaipur, Jhansi, Nagpur under the doctrine of lapse. Dalhousie also enacted the state of Awadh by justifying that this would free its people from misrule and misgovernance. So, in doctrine of lapse, the states or the kingdoms were taken by the British on this condition that if there is no legal heir to the throne, suppose a king died without a son. You all know that in Indian monarchical system, the king's son will become the next king. So, if someone has no son or to become the next successor, then that would be lapsed or lapsed in the British Empire. It will be taken by the British Empire. So, this was known as doctrine of lapse. And if anybody has adopted a successor, adopted a son, but they will not enjoy the royal status, but means they will not become, that adopted son cannot become the king, but he can, his personal property, he can use the personal property who has adopted him, but he cannot become the king. As you know, in Jhansi what happened? Jhansi, the queen of Jhansi fought for her freedom of Jhansi. She doesn't have his own son. She had adopted son, and the British wanted to take that in doctrine of lapse. So they took it after the death of Rani Lakshmibai. So this was about the doctrine of lapse. So I have discussed the subsidiary alliance system and the doctrine of lapse. These all the systems were actually to take control of the Indian kingdoms and to make the British Empire more stronger. Now we will discuss about the civil administration under the British. This is on page number 30. In order to ascertain their command over the newly acquired territories, it was necessary for the British to evolve an efficient system of administration. So they have acquired so many territories, and to maintain them they needed a very good administration. So for this they have done many things. Lord Clive had introduced the dual system of administration in Bengal, but it did not yield the desired result from the British point of view. Warren Hastings abolished the dual system in 1772. The British territories were divided into 3 presidencies. So the British territory, whatever was acquired by the British territory in India, was divided into 3 parts. 3 presidencies: Bombay, Bengal and Madras. The Governor General was to be the supreme head of the administration. The supreme head of the administration will be the Governor General, was Governor General. The provinces were further divided into districts. So these three provinces were divided into districts. Each district was under a collector. So this is the administrative system during the British rule. It was his duty to maintain peace, law and order in his districts and collect the revenues on various taxes. He performed these functions with the help of judges, police officers and local darogas. So in district, the law and order is in the hands of the collector, and his duty was to collect taxes, revenues, etc. Now we will discuss about the Regulating Act of 1773. In 1773, the Regulating Act was passed by the British Parliament. Its main objective was to regulate the functioning of the East India Company in India. So this Regulating Act was actually passed by the British Parliament to regulate proper functioning of East India Company in India. So its main features were, what were the features? I will discuss. The Governor of Bengal became the Governor General of India. So the Governor of Bengal became the Governor General of India. A council of 4 members were constituted to assist the Governor General. So there will be 4 members to assist the Governor General. All decisions were to be taken on the basis of majority of votes. So every decisions will be taken on the basis of vote. So the voting will be done for any kind of decision, and the highest vote, if the decision gets the highest vote, then it will be taken or executed. A Supreme Court was established at Calcutta. It comprised a Chief Justice and 3 other judges. So Supreme Court was established in Calcutta. The Regulating Act of 1773. It is I am discussing about the features. And in Supreme Court of Calcutta, it comprised the Chief Justice and 3 other judges. It was strictly laid down that no officer of the company would accept any form of bribe or gift directly or indirectly. So to stop corruption, it was strictly guidelines were given that it was strictly prohibited to take any kind of bribe directly or indirectly. Demerits of the Act. What was the demerits of the Act? The Governor General had an upper hand in all the decisions but could not exercise control over his council. So the Governor General always had in every decision, his decision was the final, and he could not exercise the control over his council. He doesn't have any control over the council which was there to assist him. While the Supreme Court administered the English law, the other courts gave judgments in accordance with already existing laws. So the Supreme Court in Calcutta was giving judgments according to the English law, but the lower courts were already following the existing law which was in India. So both the things are not matching. The Governor General could not exercise authority over other presidencies. Okay, so that's it for today, and we will discuss the other topics tomorrow. So if you have any problem, you can ask questions. Okay, see you in the next class.